Over to Egypt and the latest crackdown on media. Over the weekend, security forces stormed the offices of an investigative media outlet and detained its staff for several hours. Now, according to Madam Masser, 2 freelance translators and 2 crew members from France 24 were also present in the office and questioned during that raid. This comes amid a wider crackdown on dissent and free speech. For more, I'd like to welcome Justin Shilad to the programme. He's the Committee to Protect Journalists, Middle East and North Africa Research Associate. He joins us from New York. Justin, thank you so much for being with us. Now, this was one of Egypt's last major independent media outlets, was it not?
Yes, it is. And it still is currently one of the last independent media outlets. They are, as far as we know, still operational and still reporting the news.
So they're still operating, but of course there has been a crackdown and there have been calls from the international community to enable media freedom in the country. But that doesn't seem to be enough, does it? What does the CPJ, the Committee to Protect Journalists, recommend here?
I think that this is a very, very concerning case for us because it represents a new front in the Egyptian authorities' war, and at this point it is a war against independent critical press in the country. The raid on Madam Masr comes after authorities arrested at least 8 journalists in the aftermath of protests that we saw in September. And this is on the heels of a campaign that's lasted years, ever since President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi took power, against any reporting that could be remotely embarrassing to authorities. I think that at the very bare minimum, there need to be assurances from authorities that there will be no more arrests, intimidation, harassment of Madam Masr. But then that's really only the starting point. What we want to see is all journalists who are in jail for their work released from prison, an end to this harassment, an end to the censorship and blocking of websites, and an end to the probationary measures against journalists such as Shaukan, who have to spend up to 12 hours of each day in a police station.
And of course, this isn't an isolated case in the region. We have crackdowns on Iran, on Lebanon.
Absolutely, yes. It's a region-wide problem for sure, and I think that's also what's particularly disturbing here too. What happens in Egypt or what happens in one country in the region does not happen in a vacuum. It's a problem for the entire Middle East, North Africa region, and indeed the world. I think that with the authorities in this region, even those whom have significant conflicts with one another, they're very much reading from each other's playbooks in suppressing critical and independent media. And that's what's so disturbing about this case. If the Egyptian authorities can crack down on a widely read and respected independent media outlet like this and not face strong pushback from the international community, that sends a signal to the rest of the governments in the region. Fortunately, in this case, there was a pretty strong outcry, both domestically in Egypt and internationally. But I think that there needs to be that sustained pressure in order for journalists in the region to be able to do their jobs.
Justin Shilad of the CPJ talking to us about the suppression of media across the region. Thank you so much for speaking to us here on Middle East Matters.
My pleasure. Thank you.